Oh, but I can't. I have to go around it. Shit. Oh, we were right there too. Hello everybody, my name is Jay Borwalkie, welcome back to my channel Vorpal Gaming. Today's video is somewhat of a first impressions review of the open beta for an upcoming game called The Eternal Cylinder. Originally the beta was meant to close before the end of March, but the developers, being the good folk they are, decided to extend it until the 8th of April. The game is being developed by Ace Team, most notably recognised for the game series Rock of Ages and Xenoclash, and published by Good Shepherd Entertainment, known for games such as Transport Fever 1 and 2 and The Phantom Doctrine. First up, I'll go briefly over the performance of the game itself, and then move on to the story and main objective. I'll also try to keep this video as spoiler-free as possible in terms of the story, as this isn't going to be a full review, and what we had access to was supposedly only the first 3 hours of gameplay. Now, keep in mind some people's experience with the game's performance will differ, but this was my personal experience of the game with the setup that I have. And I'm pleased to say that the Eternal Cylinder runs at a high, smooth frame rate for the most part, despite the massive, lively environment and all the assets and creature animations happening at once. There were slight stutters every now and then during sequences with a lot of action, but this is to be expected. Overall, the performance was nearly flawless for an open beta. Load times were negligible, and the loading screens themselves are well designed. The true embodiment of less is more. They show rich, yet simplistic artwork similar to that found engraved or built into the walls of some ancient temple, an aesthetic and theme which will persist as a driving force of the plot throughout the game. The action in the Eternal Cylinder is accompanied by consistent narration, brilliantly helmed by New Zealand actor Peter Hayden, whose voice often comes as a welcome companion on an otherwise perilous journey.
Trebhum are not the strongest, nor the fastest, and they do not have sharp teeth. They would make easy prey for the terrible force that came to their planet. But Trebhum are loyal and resourceful, and very, very stubborn. It is with such a Trebhum that our story begins. One clever little creature born into a cruel world, who would be instrumental in bringing prosperity to its kind.
You wake as a newborn Trebhum, the alien race that serves as our protagonist of this epic, hatching from your egg to a strange, sprawling world. We are spurred into the action with a wide shot showing a giant cylinder, slowly rolling forward, looming over you, and spanning the horizon. With only a brief moment to take in your surroundings, you quickly make your way through a shallow creek, reaching an impasse. With death a certainty, you begin to accept your fate, when suddenly the cylinder comes to a halt, resting against an ancient-looking tower in the distance. It seems at first that you have no way out of this creek, until you are confronted by a swarm of large blue grasshoppers. Several of them hop down into the creek, and back out again with ease, and one of them leaves you a little gift in the form of a green sphere. When you consume it, your legs evolve, and you gain the ability to jump as the grasshoppers do. Pushing further, you collect resources as you go, and soon come across a much larger, ancient Trebhum, lying lifeless, overgrown by nature on a grassy hill. You gain from this Trebhum the knowledge and ability to carry a light, as the narrator describes it, to each of the ancient towers to protect the land from the cylinder. Without warning, the towers behind you crumble away, and once again on the move. The cylinder now begins to glow, what I fathomed as it becoming molten hot, not only eliminating all life in front of it, but also presumably glassing and shaping the terrain in its wake. From here onwards, there will be clips from slightly later on in my beta gameplay, but I won't go any further into the story so as not to ruin too much for anyone who is interested in playing the game themselves when it actually releases later this year. As mentioned earlier, the goal of this game is to make it to each set of towers and activate them before the cylinder crushes you. The towers will stop the cylinder's movement, usually until you decide to cross a threshold, represented by a blue force field. Along the way, you are introduced to the concept of hatching or releasing your fellow Trebhum to bolster your ranks, giving you room to pick up more evolutionary traits at once. You must explore, upgrade, and evade, all the while collecting resources split into a few different categories that represent your Trebhum's needs. There's food, shown as a mushroom icon, water, shown as a droplet icon, health, shown as a heart icon, minerals or precious stones, shown as a crystal icon, and chief among all, the evolutionary resources, shown as a green lightning bolt. One fantastic feature of this game is that all your resources and needs, meaning energy, hunger, thirst, and stamina are shared across all of your Trebhum, and you may switch between each member of your party at your discretion. While some traits can be evolved across all the Trebhum, the game seems to place emphasis on mixing and matching. Having each Trebhum serve a different purpose proves a necessary tactic, considering certain traits will override others should they affect the same body part. Exploration also plays a massive role in your survival, as you will find structures and temples off the beaten path, containing evolutionary resources, minerals, and stat upgrades, such as health, stamina, leadership, food storage, and water storage. Of course, there's much more to discover in the world of the Eternal Cylinder than what I've addressed here, but I don't want to drone on too long or spoil too much. There's just one more thing I do want to make mention of, and that is the music. The soundtrack in this game is absolutely phenomenal, and instead of saying anything more about it, I'll just let you experience it for a moment. Thankfully, the only glaring bug I found with the game was actually tied to the music, or perhaps the sound control in general. When I attempted to turn down the music, I accidentally dragged it to 0, but upon dragging the slider in the opposite direction, the music would cease to play until a moment of action when seemingly a new track would begin playing. It just shuts the music off? I'm so confused. So, there's your first issue right there. The music doesn't keep playing if you turn it down? Does it restart the track or something? Alright, since the, I'd like to showcase their music, but considering the music keeps switching off every time I turn it down too much, like if you turn it down to 0 and then turn it back up, it just stops dead. I think it's the same with the narration. Overall, the Eternal Cylinder caught my attention mostly due to its similarities to other games of its ilk that I've enjoyed in the past. But there's no denying that what is being created here promises to be a balanced blend of beautiful music, striking scenery, engaging gameplay, and a progression system that causes you to explore your surroundings and experiment with the 50+ evolutionary traits available. Though we don't have a specific date yet, the Eternal Cylinder will be releasing on PC and consoles later this year. In the meantime, I will leave a link to the game's website in the description below, so go check that out and join the Discord for constant updates. Thank you for watching, I hope this video was informative. Don't forget, I stream almost every day over on twitch.tv/jbawalkie. Have a wonderful day or night, whatever time it happens to be, wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you in the next video.
Watch me.